Week 11 Day 1. Poignant, moving, painful to the feeling sense. The sermon was poignant enough to bring tears to the brash delinquent's eye. Sense poignant, adjective causing or having a particularly sharp feeling of sadness. The photograph awakens poignant memories of happier days. It is especially poignant that he died on the day before the wedding. Poignantly, adverb poignancy, noun. The poem has a haunting poignancy. Inundate, to flood. Sense even though his boat was almost inundated, the skipper was loath to radio for help. Sense inundate, too much. Verb t, to give someone so much work or so many things that they cannot deal with them all. We have been inundated with requests for help. Inundation, noun. Sense inundate, flood. Verb t, formal, to flood an area with water. If the dam breaks, it will inundate large parts of the town. Inundation, noun. C or u, formal, fruitless, useless. Sense after a fruitless attempt to wrest control of the government, the traitors were incarcerated, prisoned. Sense fruit, result, noun. The fruits of sth, the pleasant or successful result of work or actions. This book is the fruit of 15 years research. It's been hard work, but now the business is running smoothly. You can sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labors. Fruitful, adjective 1, formal, producing good results. It was a most fruitful discussion, with both sides agreeing to adopt a common policy. Note, the opposite is fruitless. To old use, if a person is fruitful, they produce a lot of children. Fruitfully, adverb, fruitfulness, noun. Fruition, noun. Formal, when a plan or an idea begins to happen, exist or be successful. None of his grand plans for a TV series ever came to fruition. Fruitless, adjective, if an action or attempt to do something is fruitless, it isn't successful or produces nothing of value. All diplomatic attempts at a peaceful solution to the crisis have been fruitless. Note, the opposite is fruitful. Fruitlessly, adverb, fruitlessness, noun. Garbled, confused, mixed sense. Although the message was garbled, its salient points were clear enough. Sense garbled, adjective, if words or messages are garbled, they are not clear and are very difficult to understand, often giving a false idea of the facts. He left a rather garbled message on my answer phone. Sanguine, optimistic. Sense, because the malignancy paragraph had gone unchecked, the surgeons were not sanguine about the patient's chances. Sense sanguine, adjective, formal, of someone or their character. Positive and hopeful, they are less sanguine about the prospects for peace. See also optimistic, at optimism. Not to feather one's nest, grow rich by taking advantage of circumstances. Sense, while working as the tax collector, he adroitly feathered his own nest. The search for the dog continued. Meanwhile, the Hearts had notified the local radio stations to broadcast a poignant appeal for the dog's owner to come forward. The station was inundated with phone calls, but all leads were fruitless. From what Bobby had told them, a huge dog had leapt out from a red station wagon in the supermarket's parking lot. After biting, Bobby had vanished. The 6-year-old was too concerned with the bites he had received to see where the dog disappeared to. The boy's story was garbled, but he did remember that the animal was gray and had a collar. There was little tangible evidence to go on, but the police remained sanguine. Week 11 Day 2. Phlegmatic, calm, hard to rouse to action, sluggish. Sense Harriet's egregious error disturbed even her phlegmatic employer. Sense phlegm, calmness, noun. Formal, the ability to stay calm and not get emotional or excited about things even in a difficult or dangerous situation. Phlegmatic, adjective, formal, describes someone who tends not to get emotional or excited about things. As a footballer, his great asset was his calm, phlegmatic manner. Corroborate, confirm, support. Sense even the swindler's nefarious accomplice refused to corroborate his alibi. Sense corroborate, verb t, formal, to add proof or certainty to an account, statement, idea, etc. with new information. Recent research seems to corroborate his theory. Corroboration, noun. Formal, without corroboration from forensic tests, it will be difficult to prove that the suspect is guilty. Corroborating, adjective, also corroborative, formal, corroborating evidence reports comprehensive, thorough. Sense in order to get the job, you had to go through the drudgery, boring, of filling out a 10-page comprehensive questionnaire. Sense comprehensive, adjective, complete and including everything that is necessary. We offer you a comprehensive training in all aspects of the business. Is this list comprehensive, or are there some names missing? He has written a fully comprehensive guide to Rome. Comprehensively, adverb, completely, A comprehensively illustrated book. The plan was comprehensively rejected since comprehensive insurance now new insurance which financially protects any other vehicles and people that are involved in a car accident with you, in addition to yourself. Since comprehensive school noun CUK, a school in Britain for children above the age of 11, in which children of all abilities are taught. The local comprehensive, a comprehensive school education. Zealous enthusiastic sense the fundraiser was so zealous that he solicited money from a Salvation Army. Santa Claus sense zeal. Noun S or U great enthusiasm or eagerness, reforming missionary religious zeal. A zeal for money making zealot. Noun C a person who has very strong opinions about something and tries to make other people have them too. A religious zealot. Zealous adjective enthusiastic and eager. A zealous supporter of the government's policies. Zealously adverb zealousness. Noun U coerce, to force. Since the elusive fugitive was coerced by his attorney into surrendering. Coerce verb T formal to persuade someone forcefully to do something which they are unwilling to do. The court heard that the 6 defendants had been coerced into making a confession. Fair weather friends unreliable. They fail when in time of distress. Since the general was chagrined to learn that so many of his supposed supporters were actually fair weather friends. No relief. The normally phlegmatic Jerry Hart was deeply upset. 24 hours had passed without result, and even if the rabies could not be corroborated, Jerry was determined to see that his son received the vaccine. At the suggestion of some friends, he organized a comprehensive search party, zealously fanning out in circles around the supermarket. They knocked on every door, inspected every dog, and came back empty-handed. Although the Harts were sick with worry they had to be coerced into going to sleep, little Bobby seemed to be in great spirits. The excruciating vigil continued. Week 11 Day 3. Elapsed to slip by since inadvertently, Emma had allowed 2 months to elapse before paying her rent. Since elapse verb I formal. If time elapses, it goes past. 4 years had elapsed since he left college, and still he hadn't found a job. Meticulous careful. Since the meticulous musician had nothing but disdain for his disorganized friends. Since meticulous adjective approving very careful and with great attention to every detail. Many hours of meticulous preparation have gone into writing the book. Meticulously adverb approving the entire project was meticulously planned. Meticulousness noun U approving domicile home. Since a man's domicile is his castle. Domicile noun C formal or legal. The place where a person lives. Domiciled adjective after verb formal or legal. He was domiciled living in Saudi Arabia during the 1980s. Lax careless, negligent, reckless. Sense because the watchman was lax, thievery was rampant at the warehouse. Sense lax adjective lacking care, attention or control, not severe or strong enough. He took a gun through baggage control to highlight the lax security. The subcommittee contends that the authorities were lax in investigating most of the cases. Laxity noun U also laxness. Laxly adverb sporadic occasional. Sense the lackluster dull battle was punctuated by sporadic mortar fire. Sense sporadic adjective happening irregularly, not regular or continuous. Sporadic gunfire. A sporadic electricity supply. More than 100 people have been killed this year in sporadic outbursts of ethnic violence. Sporadically adverb to sow one's wild oats. To lead a wild, carefree life. Since during his teen years, the millionaire avidly sowed his wild oats. The police find the dog. 40 hours had elapsed before the police work and the publicity paid off. By meticulously checking the registrations of every red station wagon in the neighborhood and then cross-checking dog licenses, the police narrowed the search to 4 owners. After a few telephone calls, the apologetic owner was located and directed to bring her muzzled German Shepherd to the Hart domicile. Bobby identified the dog, and the animal was taken to a veterinary's clinic to have the necessary tests performed. The lax owner, Mrs. McGraw, admitted that the dog had a sporadic mean streak, but she scoffed at the idea of rabies. Jerry Hart noticed for the first time in 2 days that his uneasy feeling had departed. Week 11 Day 4. Rash too hasty, reckless. Sense it was exceedingly rash of the lightweight to insult the belligerent warlike longshoreman. Sense rash without thought adjective careless or unwise, without thought for what might happen or result. That was a rash decision. You didn't think about the costs involved. Plus to infinitive, I think it was a bit rash of them to get married when they'd only known each other for a few weeks. Rashness now knew. In a moment of rashness, I agreed to do a parachute jump for charity. Rashly adverb sense rash skin condition noun C or U a lot of small red spots on skin. I've got an itchy rash all over my chest. He came out up in a rash after he fell in a patch of nettles. If you stay in the sun too long you'll get a heat rash. Sense rash large number noun a rash of STH a large number of unpleasant events of the same type. There has been a rash of robberies, accidents, complaints in the last 2 months. Conjecture guess sense it was sheer conjecture on the detective's part but it led to the arrest of the vexatious counterfeiter. Sense conjecture noun C or U the forming of a guess about something based on how it seems and not on proof. There's been a lot of conjecture in the papers recently about the royal marriage. Conjecture verb I formal to guess, based on the appearance of a situation and not on proof. We'll never know exactly how she died, we can only conjecture. Plus that he conjectured that the company would soon be in financial difficulties. Conjectural adjective obviate do away with, eliminate. Sense the necessity for preparing sandwiches was obviated when the picnic was postponed. Sense obviate verb T formal to remove a difficulty, especially so that action to deal with it becomes unnecessary. A peaceful solution would obviate the need to send unmilitary force. Lurid sensational sense the newspaper switched from mundane common coverage to lurid reporting. Sense lurid shocking adjective disapproving especially of a description shocking because involving violence, sex or immoral activity. You can read all the lurid details of the affair in today's paper. Luridly adverb luridness noun U sense lurid color adjective disapproving too brightly colored, that's a very lurid shade of lipstick she's wearing. Luridly adverb luridness noun U quip joke sense Hamlet remembered that Yorick was always ready with a lusty quip. Quip noun C an amusing and clever remark. It was Oscar Wilde who made the famous quip about life mimicking art. Quip verb IPP mainly as plus speech. When asked earlier why he seemed to be so relaxed, Mr. McCarthy quipped, "It's the drugs." Windfall unexpected financial gain no sense. When the bankrupt company struck oil, the surprised investor received a windfall of $20,000. All's well that ends well. The Harts were greatly relieved to learn that the rash conjecture about the dog was not true. Because the German Shepherd was not rabid, the necessity for the painful treatment was obviated. The police gave the dog's owner a summons for allowing the animal to go unmuzzled. Little Bobby was treated to an ice cream sundae and a Walt Disney double feature. The neighbors searched for other lurid happenings, and Jerry Hart went back to his office. "What kind of dog was that?" his secretary asked. "Oh, his bark was worse than his bite," quipped Jerry. Week 11 Day 5. Assuming blunders. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the Republic for Richard Sands. Deliver us from evil. Lead us not into Penn Station. Teachers who train students to memorize, and then do rote recitations sometimes find that the youngsters have a garbled interpretation of the actual words. Eliza Berman, an educator who is meticulous about her own use of language, invited colleagues to send her examples of confusion in students' writings. Little did she realize that they would quickly inundate her letterbox with their pet mistakes. As a result, Ms. Berman was able to compile a fairly comprehensive list of howlers that include the following: the inhabitants of ancient Egypt were called mummies. They lived in the Sahara Desert and traveled by Camelot. Homer wrote the Odyssey in which Penelope, Odysseus was the first hardship Ulysses endured on his journey. Socrates died from an overdose of wedlock. King Alfred conquered the dames. Indian squabs carried porpoises on their backs. Under the Constitution, the people enjoy the right to keep bear arms. In the Olympic Games, the Greeks ran, jumped, hurled the biscuits and threw the Java. Lincoln was America's greatest president. Ms. Berman is not too sanguine about eliminating such errors from pupils' compositions and test papers. Her advice: enjoy.